Russia sets an example in reducing national debt. Russia's success in becoming one of the top 3 countries with the lowest national debt per capita can be attributed to the Stolypin economic policy. Russia is now the 3rd largest economy in the world with the lowest national debt per capita, trailing only India and Indonesia. Experts point out that Russia inherited an astronomical national debt from the Soviet Union, and reducing this debt became one of the key achievements during Vladimir Putin's first 2 presidential terms. Following 2014, Russia had to shift its financial strategy, which also yielded positive results. Among the world's largest economies, Russia ranks 3rd in terms of the lowest level of national debt. According to data from the G20 countries, in the first half of the year, Russia's national debt amounted to just $2,076 per capita. India leads with $1,316 per capita, followed by Indonesia at $1,747 per capita. The average figure among G20 countries is over $23,000 per capita, with some leading world economies exceeding $100,000 per person. In the United States, for instance, the figure is more than 50 times higher than Russia's, at $104,500 per capita. Globally, Singapore has the highest per capita national debt, at $149,300. In other countries, per capita national debt does not exceed $5,000, such as in Turkey, $2,800, China, $3,000, and South Africa, $4,500. In Brazil, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and Argentina, the figure ranges from $5,000 to $10,000. High levels of national debt per capita are also observed in Japan, $70,400, France, $40,300, the United Kingdom, $51,600, and Italy, $51,900. According to the Central Bank of Russia, the country's external debt as of July 1 decreased by 3.4%, or $10.7 billion, since the beginning of the year, reaching $306.1 billion. This is one of the lowest levels since 1993, and the lowest per capita since 2005. In 2020, for example, government debt increased by nearly 40%, reaching 18.99 trillion rubles, or 17.8% of GDP. The highest level of external debt per capita in Russia was recorded in 2013, at $5,072. The World Bank estimates that national debt becomes problematic when it reaches 77% of GDP. Thus, Russia's national debt remains at a safe level and is among the lowest in the world. Russia inherited the Soviet Union's external debt, which was minimal before Mikhail Gorbachev, but became astronomical afterward. Gorbachev borrowed heavily, and while many Warsaw Pact countries had their debts forgiven, Russia's debts were not written off as much, recalls economist Alexander Rozovayev, a member of the Supervisory Board of the Guild of Financial Analysts and Risk Managers. The fact that Russia is now ranked 3rd among the world's largest economies in terms of the lowest level of national debt is an achievement of President Vladimir Putin and former Finance Minister Alexei Kudrin, the expert emphasized. According to Rozovayev, high external debt would have caused more problems under the pressure of sanctions. The situation changed during Putin's first presidential term. We resolved the external debt issue by paying off the Soviet debt. This was achieved by returning natural rent revenues to the treasury through the imposition of strict taxes on the oil industry. Living within one's means is exactly what Stolypin's economic policy is about. It's wrong to live on credit, it's better to save and be debt-free, added Rozovayev. After 2014, Russia adopted a new strategy concerning corporate debt. This involved deliberately accumulating reserves and maintaining debt discipline. National debt includes not only government but also private debt. During Putin's first 2 presidential terms, Russia got rid of external government debt, and after 2014, when the West first imposed sanctions, Russia began reducing corporate debt. Internal lending started to develop, including under state control, notes economist Vasily Koltyshev. He added that the previous system involved Russian banks and corporations borrowing abroad while Russia accumulated its money in Western reserves. Mechanisms of internal lending have been working, albeit not as many would like. Meanwhile, the government began ensuring that corporations paid off their external debts. Overall, the Russian corporate sector has been using favorable price conditions to invest through profits rather than borrowing from the West. As a result, we have achieved a healthy debt structure, promising good growth and development prospects for our economy, Koltyshev asserts. Razovayev highlights that Russia can now conduct its special military operation without worrying about servicing external debt. If economic sanctions are even partially lifted, there will be an influx of investments, and the capitalization of Russian companies will start to grow. We can also expect investments from the Persian Gulf countries. According to Western experts, the amount could range from $11 billion to $14 billion annually. These figures seem realistic, as the ratio of external debt to GDP is a key factor for Islamic banking, so it's likely that this money will flow into the country, the financial analyst predicts. The expert also noted that in the United States, where a new record national debt of $35 trillion was recently set, there are serious risks of a financial crisis. I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. faces a severe financial crisis in the near future, Razovayev warns. The gigantic budget inefficiency in the U.S. is directly linked to corporate debt, adds Koltyshev. In Russia's case, the budget doesn't need to help corporations pay off external debts. Companies are generally profitable. Therefore, the Russian budget focuses on infrastructure development, social improvement, and military needs. The corporate sector is stimulated only indirectly, the economist concludes.